After a bit of a break in the season from the previous round of Virginia International Raceway, the TC America class of machines, including the TC cars themselves, are here at Sonoma Raceway for rounds 5 and 6 of the championship chase. Hi, everybody. Greg Creamer along with Calvin Fish and Ryan Marine. And the cars already started and heading out on their formation lap. And having a quick look, qualifying Johann Schwartz. He's been dominant this year, but only his second pole, but it came at a track that not easy to pass on. It's a good place to start.
It really is, and when you look at the championship chases, you say, boy, it's already over. 36-point lead for Johann Schwartz, the man with the most experience, coming off a brilliant campaign in 2018. But as he said to me, there's 10 rounds still to go. And
Yep.
when you look at that grid, we anticipated after the practice times that Johann may have been the man to beat, which he certainly was, with a nice healthy margin of about 4/10 over his teammate Streimer for the pole position. But the top 7 on the grid are covered by 1 second. So that battle between Streimer on second and Capizzi all the way back in 7th is extremely tight. I think that's where the big battle could be today.
Absolutely. Streimer doing a nice job, as you said, in all Rooster Hall Racing front row. Robert Nimkoff for Auto Technic Racing. Great qualifying effort into the 3rd spot. Former class champion Toby Grahovic in the 26th Classic BMW was 4th. Then one of the big stories this weekend, the debut of a new team and a new driver in this championship. And in fact, in pro racing, Spokane, Washington-based Hard Motorsport does a lot of club racing, and a driver named Sean Webster, who does a lot of club racing, and particularly in NASA, who knows this track very well, they decided to come together and see what might happen on their debut, and qualified at 5th.
Well, track knowledge is huge here. I think with any track, I always found from my racing career, when you add elevation change and you go to a new racetrack, it makes it tough to learn. It's tough to get the confidence and know where you're hitting your marks and where you need to place the race car. So if you have a ton of laps around this race circuit, it's a big advantage. He did a very nice job in qualifying, settling into the 5th position.
Good look there at Johan. Continuing, Cameron Evans doing a great job qualifying 6th in the Copart Bimmer World Racing BMW number 82. Tom Capizzi in the Auto Technic Racing team car, the number 52 to Nimkoff. This is a big race for him. Talked to him a little bit earlier. He's got a lot of friends and family here, and he said this one's big for him. He's really looking forward to this one playing out. Richard Zulman, 3rd of the Rooster Hall entries, the number 84, qualified 8th. First time here, and asked him about the track when I saw him, and his eyes were pretty wide. And he said, this place is something. But he's really enjoying it, no question. Chandler Hull, who was so impressive at VIR, struggling a little bit here, back in the 9th spot in qualifying the team Copart Bimmer World entry. And Mark Brumman, nice to have him back running the Techsport Racing Nissan. He ran a few races last year, and good to have him back and giving it a go here. Then Mosey Uretsky and Greg Nitzkowski completing the field, and we are set to go. 40-minute timed event for this 5th round of the championship.
Class dominated by the BMW. Teammates on the front row. Have they discussed how they're going to tackle this green flag here?
We're about to find out. Green flag flies. Streimer going for that outside. Johan coming across, and a big lunge up the inside. Whoa, was that close? That's the hard racing. Yeah,
he's all the way up to 3rd and thought about 2nd for a moment.
There's that track knowledge. Boy, snuck around both Nitzkowski, or Nimkoff, I mean, and Grahovic.
Wow, he was certainly knows how you can put it on the line there through the uphill climb on relatively cold tires. It's a warmish day, so that tire temp will be up in a hurry. Then we'll be talking about managing that. But on the opening few corners, you certainly have to commit, and he was willing to do that.
When you can, if you got an opportunity at the start to pick up a couple of spots, it is huge. Brumman there in that Nissan, who's been quick in this opening lap, sticking his nose in here and there, but a little bit sketchy as he came over the rise in 5 down into 6, gathered it up nicely.
I think Zillman looking to maybe make a move up front. Johann Schwartz, nice comfortable opening lap there. You knew if the car was sideways, the Drift King would be up to catching it, but certainly for Webster, really great start here, an opening lap up to 3rd from 5th on the grid.
They know how to make a splash, not just in terms of speed, but boy, that is one sharp looking BMW too. They got
looks
the
so
graphics.
Different, doesn't it?
I know. But meanwhile, there's Schwartz, that big WV, West Virginia. Huge support from their engineering and SAE department there.
Webster there, really a lot of steering input, being super aggressive with the inputs on the wheel. You could see there inside the cockpit momentarily from the camera angle. They'll just work those tires a little bit harder and get them up to temp. The key is then managing that on this very abrasive racetrack. Talked about it with all of the classes this weekend. Just really wears the tires very, very quickly. Not a lot of grip, but it's very abrasive at the same time. So as the car slides, this really creates a lot of heat and takes away the grip level.
Well, and if you're running here, oh,
that was like Capizzi in there super deep.
I think it may have been, yeah. When you run here a lot, even in club racing, that's got to be huge because, you know, some of these guys, they may have raced here for 5-6 years, but it's been 2 years since they've been here. The track's changed a lot. Let's watch the start by that gray and blue. Oh, yeah.
C's just parted for him, and he, there you see, I think he might, I'm not sure if he touched Strymer or not. It looked pretty close, though, didn't it?
It did. And you can see Brumman, that yellow 370 was pretty racy as well. Had his nose stuck in a couple of spots here. Everybody's settling in. Checking with Johan, he was talking about, he said the biggest thing for the race today, and it really gets back to what you've been talking about as well. He said, one, stay clean. Obviously, you don't need any contact. And he said, but really save the tires on those off-camber turn exits.
Yes, and also think about getting a fast lap in early while the tire has the peak performance to set your grid for tomorrow. So lots of things to tick off on the agenda list.
Well, he's done that fast lap pretty effectively at a 158.1 right now, so good run there. And he's also got Strymer, who also runs for Rooster Racing, right there as well. Then Webster in the gray and blue machine. But Webster has got Nimkov, and Capizzi is really having a good run here in this, the second of the Auto Technica cars. Capizzi up from 7th to 5th.
Yeah, following his teammate there. Looking good. I'll be curious to see if Webster can maintain this pace. Just looking at how aggressive he was on the wheel there early. Strymer now takes away the fast lap from Schwartz, so that may have to get his attention in terms of Johan managing it and not giving up that pole position for tomorrow. The top 7 cars, as we saw in qualifying, all within 3/10 right now on their fastest laps of the race. So no one's running away with this, and very equally matched field.
These guys, I mean, that's the whole concept here. I mean, you know, most of the cars obviously are that BMW 235 IR or the 40 IR. So you know that they're fairly equal, but they've also been able to bring the other models that do run in here close into the mix, and as a result, it's really a great driver's category, isn't it?
It is. 11 of the 13 entries are the BMW. A couple of Nissans in the field. And I think BMW did a great job with this package in making it a turnkey race car that all of the drivers can run without a lot of development. Obviously everything's homologated, but this M240IR Cup car is really the real deal, and just provides great racing.
It just makes it such an easy choice sometimes, you know, if you want to get involved in racing, and it's such an effective turnkey racer. You buy it, you go drive it.
They have technical support on site every single weekend. Colin Harmer leads the charge there as one of the engineers for BMW. So it makes all the sense in the world, because if you were to try and develop a car, even at this level, touring car, on your own nickel, it would cost an absolute arm and a leg. So this allows teams to have a turnkey car, as we call it, and go racing at the highest level.
Here's a good look at Chandler Hull, and as we said, he had been extremely impressive at VIR. And in fact, in the second race there, finished second from and had the pole in that race. But that was a track I believe he had a little bit of knowledge on. This is a different beast.
It is. Schwartz has responded to Strymer's fast lap, so now Johan has the upper hand at a 154.0. But looking down the charts, I mean, Grahovic just laid down a 54.2. You got Evans there at 54.1. So a lot of guys cutting laps in that 154 range.
They know it's important, don't they, to get that lap in.
Big elevation change there down through the carousel. This is where you typically go straight. You just jog a little bit to the left here, which sets up a different radius through this turn 7 area. That yellow line is perfectly okay to go all 4 wheels over. They're not going to control that from the race stewards' information this weekend.
Look there, Chandler. And the Copart Bimmer World BMW team. Nice to have James Clay here, even though he's not racing this weekend. He's very much involved in this team. A lot going on for him. And here's Brummond. He ran 3 events, 6 races last year, so didn't do the full season, but enjoyed himself and was a great addition to the championship, and great to have him back. Right in front now, Richard Zuhlman in the 3rd of the Rooster Hall entry cars, the number 84, that blue-nosed with the white fender BMW right there.
Really enjoying this season with the Rooster Hall team. And I know that he and Johan have been talking about what the next move may be, but I think it's important for Richard to just get more and more miles under his belt at this level.
Yeah, and at VIR, I mean, he had qualified for the first race in 3rd and 5th in the 2nd race, and was having a really, really strong run, and got tipped into a spin that cost him dearly. But he's a driver that is just getting more and more comfortable with these cars. And there's that battle. Strymer now starting to feel the pressures. You can see there's a queue starting to form up behind him a little bit, isn't there?
Well, that's what we talked about after qualifying. Remember, we said Johan has that big gap, and then between 2nd and 7th,
exactly.
There's nothing to choose between them, and that's what's developing right now.
This is an interesting little bunch here. There's a look at the number 20 of Nimkov.
I think this could be the real battle that's up for grabs, because I think for Webster, he's done such a great job with his qualifying in the top 5 and running 3rd early. Can he manage his tires? Knows the racetrack well, but how well does he know this tire and setup on this racetrack for a long 40-minute stint?
Right. Well, and the other side of it is the car that he's real used to is that Spec E46, a little different machine than this this entry in the M240 series. But I'm sure it's fairly familiar. It's Bavarian.
Talks the same language.
Exactly. Boy, it's a great little group here now.
Hovick there was thinking about making a move, maybe down on the inside of Capizzi.
Capizzi was very happy with his weekend at VIR. It's his first season racing, and he was very honest at Circuit of the Americas. He said, I was wide-eyed. It was just, wow, this is a whole different thing.
Yeah.
But he said he's taken the baby steps and got there and stepped it up. He really felt a little bit at VIR, and it showed. He was running in 5th at one point when he got tipped into a spin. And Nimkov, of course, had been following him for a little bit, a couple of 5ths already this year, and he's always in that top 5 battle. And Capizzi has a place in San Diego, and his company, though, is based out on the East Coast. He said, so enjoying this moment. We'll be heading out east at the end of this race weekend.
Nimkov there takes a slightly different approach to the carousel. It looks like Webster gets in early. Nimkov kind of waits and then makes a later turn into that second part of it. Should give him slightly better exit speed up front. Schwartz continues to lead by about 2 seconds and has laid down a best lap that will probably be out of reach of anyone now at 1:53.6. It's about half a second clear of the field, so that'll be tough to beat for that pole position for tomorrow.
That is a very quick race lap, isn't it? In these conditions, for sure.
Well, it's gotten warmer over the course of the weekend, but it's also starting to rubber up a little bit. So some drivers are actually saying the track is starting to develop grip. So that could help matters, but you got 2 curves working against each other. One is the heat, and one is rubber build-up and grip level increasing.
Well, that was an interesting line there.
Hovick there down to the outside. Can he do the undercut coming off? Just get on the power, just straighten your hands up a little bit earlier. That allows you to get back to power.
Capizzi sensed Toby was going to try something, and I think that's why he was way over to the other side. Did it early, that's fine. This will be a good test for Tom in the 52.
Big bump right there through one, which is not really doesn't really affect these touring cars quite as much as a more stiffly sprung GT4 and GT3 car, but even so, still quite challenging.
Strymer now starting to build a little bit of a margin back to Webster, isn't he? Up to 2 seconds.
Yeah. I think this is the battle, that one for the final podium spot right now. I mean, obviously Schwartz looks comfortable up front. As you said, Strymer's gapped the rest of the pack a little bit. I think that last podium position is the one that may be up for grabs. See there, just Webster really attacks the corner, goes in really early. And look at that, Nimkov just able to stay on that curb a little bit later in the corner. Probably get back to power slightly sooner.
All right, and of course, watching Johann Schwartz out front, having another very solid race, but turning some very quick laps, Ryan.
Yes, and Eric Meyer is the crew chief for Rooster Hall Racing. You were chatting with me right before the race began. A couple of cars starting up front, fingers crossed. First of all, they make it through turn 1, lap 1. Mission accomplished there. How would you assess the way the race has played out so far?
It's playing out just the way we were hoping it would. These M240 IRs that we have this weekend are really fast, and we are having good results with no testing here. So we're looking forward to seeing how this race pans out here, and hopefully the guys keep the tires underneath them with this track.
Are you surprised with the pace of the car, given the lack of familiarity with the circuit?
Not really. I mean, Steve is from the West Coast, so he knows a little bit of the track here. He knows how it kind of handles and the tire degradation that we do see. So that was helpful to get a decent setup and use some of his familiarity. And we had Johan out here a couple weeks ago in another car to get some laps around here because he had never been here ever.
That's pretty incredible. And to have Steve, though, to be able to take his local knowledge, how much were you picking his brain before you even showed up here in Sonoma?
So we actually started talking about Sonoma at VIR at the end of the weekend, being that he didn't have a very good result there. So coming to the West Coast was going to be really important for him. And, we're going to his home race in Portland coming up.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Hey, good luck the rest of the way. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's impressive, and I mean, you do what you can, don't you? And you get your driver out of there testing. Within a week of an event, you can't test, etc. That doesn't mean if there's a race 2 weeks earlier, you can't enter it. Ooh, a big moment there by Zulman.
Yeah, he just had to totally committed and just had to let it go and just weaved his way through the needle in the haystack there.
He did the right thing, didn't he? He recognized what was happening and just released and didn't try and make that corner.
Luckily, it didn't happen a little bit later.
Exactly.
But I tell you what, Strymer's not letting Schwartz get away. It's 1.2 seconds, and he just laid down his best lap a couple of laps ago at 54.2. So he's keeping Johan honest here today with his knowledge of the racetrack.
Into the chicane here. Great camera angle looking, and boy, I'll tell you, Johan we know he's a great drifter, but here he understands the mission, doesn't he? We're not seeing that car sliding, pushing, anything.
Keeping it totally underneath him, just keeping those tires underneath you. Don't let it slip. Don't overdrive it. Just feed it in smoothly.
That battle behind these two continues to be close. There's Webster, then Nimkov, then Capizzi, then Grahovic. Grahovic getting another good run through the hairpin in turn 12. He's just never quite close enough to get the nose up and underneath Capizzi.
Yeah, Toby's a great racer, but he's super clean.
Yeah.
Doesn't take big risks.
What I'm wondering is, watching as Capizzi exits 1, he really sort of swings over a lot more to set up for 2.
Yep.
Come the end of the race, if he has been able to figure a way through, do you think Grahovic might just try to straight line right to that apex?
It's definitely on, but it doesn't seem like these touring cars are getting the same tire degradation that we saw with GT4. I mean, the pace is maintained, and so we'll have to wait and see. Still a lot. We're not halfway yet, at the halfway point in this race yet, so we'll have to wait and see if we start to see a few more signs of that, the car slipping and sliding.
Behind this group, sitting in the 7th spot, is the 82 of Evans in the Copart BMW, then Brumman, then Hull, then Zulman, then Mozieretsky in the Murillo Racing Mazda, and then Nitskowski. Dynamic Racing Solutions, BMW, but keeping our eyes on this one here is, boy, Capizzi getting a tremendous
huge run. Huge run. Looks to the inside. Had to go with it. Can he? Oh, no! Super late. Wow, that was a great job by Webster, seeing him at the last moment and giving him that lane.
Yep.
He's going to need to give up that position, otherwise the stewards are going to call him on it for shortcutting the racetrack.
Yeah, boy, he had a honking run. You're right. Skrhovic tried to get by Webster.
He just gives it to them back.
Yep.
He just had such a big run, though. He had to take it, but just got in there super deep and super committed.
Capizzi handled that beautifully, because it would have been so easy for Skrhovic to get through, and he let Webster through, and here it is again.
It's super deep, but then look. Oh,
brilliant reaction by Webster.
That's amazing. How he saw him, I don't know, because the car was already turned.
Yeah.
Unless he's got a spotter over there or something.
So the question is, will they be asking Capizzi to give back one more spot?
I think so.
Problem is that it would have been Nitskowski, or excuse me, it would have been Nimkov. It was the first car that he got by. So maybe not. I mean, he was through on Nimkov. He was, you know. Yeah, but you're right. It all started with just a monster run.
He just got a big run at the start of the S's and then probably picked up a little bit of a toe as well, even though you're still turning. Let's take another look at it. He's just got a monster run going here. He's probably 5 miles an hour up. Has to take it to the inside, then just gets in super deep and just nowhere to go with it. I mean, I thought that was going to be a big one. How Webster saw that and read that situation is crazy.
Yeah, that was phenomenal. He just continues to impress. And of course, that now has given the leaders up front even a bigger margin, almost 4.5 seconds at this stage. So they're truly well and gone, and this is going to be the scrap.
Final podium spot.
Yeah, looks like Evans is coming up to join this battle too.
Well, there's nothing between this group in terms of lap time and pace. I'll tell you, unlike the GT4 race that we saw earlier, these touring cars are keeping their tires under them so much better. Balance still looks strong. Lap times are still relatively quick. Say they've dropped off about half as much as we saw in the earlier race, Greg. About 1 second delta right now between fast laps and current laps.
Is that maybe just a factor of a little harder compound or something that these Pirellis might have been designed to run with?
Yeah, quite possibly. And also I think it's a testimony to how well balanced these BMWs are as well.
That's a very good point.
Circuit certainly keeps you up on your toes. You're always
there's no rest here.
No,
is there?
It's so easy to make a mistake, and it's an old school racetrack in terms of there are some consequences. I wouldn't call it highly dangerous, but it's easy to go off for a ride and have a bit of a hit.
Look there at the number 20 of Nimkov, who here's Webster and then Capizzi as we go back up. Check in on Johann Schwartz, whose margin is right about that 2 seconds. He and Strymer have been running laps literally about a 1/10 apart, haven't they?
Strymer may be a little bit closer. Basically 1.8 last time across. Not much between them. Webster again, just protecting a little bit. He realized that pack is waiting for any opportunity, so he just chooses the middle of the road, not a total block, and compromise his line too much off that final corner. Yeah, so that gap up front did shrink.
It did.
By like 6/10. Big run by Capizzi.
Chandler, they've been exchanging overruns in the chicane, haven't they? Ooh. big wiggle by Grahovic up over the top of 3A. He is starting to get antsy, I think, here.
Strymer right there.
Yeah, he is.
0.2 seconds. Seem to be trading sector times pretty equally there right now between the two leaders. Seems like Webster runs a different line, certainly than Nimkov, certainly than Capizzi, who's right behind him right now through the carousel.
One thing I didn't ask Sean was, when I was talking to him, and I should have, is, you know, you may have a lot of laps around this track, but have you ever run this configuration in the hairpin? You know, I mean, it's a small part of the track, but something that he's got to be working on and figuring out.
Something went on in that middle sector there with Strymer. He's lost about half a second on this lap to Johan. Seems like Johan's got things totally under control. You talk about confidence. I mean, last year it was such a fierce battle all season long, trading blows with his competitors. But this year, I think going his own way, and just a lot more time with this machine now. Good notepad to work from. And even come to a new circuit for Johann Schwartz. He is very much the man to beat in this championship.
Yep. This is his year. I think he truly feels that as well. But I'll tell you, after having dropped off just a little bit, the 82 Evans in the back of this queue, 6th overall, has quickly reeled this group back in again. Just a lap or two ago, he was quite a bit back at Grahovic right there. There he is in that blue and white Copart Bimmer World entry.
I think the reason may be, and I'm starting to see the cars for the very first time start to slip and slide a little bit. Capizzi certainly and Grahovic both have shown little bobble moments as well. As we get towards the latter stages of the race now, so I think maybe Evans has kept his tires underneath him at least a lap or two longer than the rest, and that's closed the gap.
Look here at Nimkov, who's been sort of all over the board today. That great qualifying run up into 3rd.
Really wide there.
Yeah.
Just lost the front end. So this is the tough part, when you get where you're trying to dig deep, trying to catch up to the pack in front of you, and then when you ask for that tire for that extra percentage of grip, it's just not going to give it to you. Oh, big run here by Capizzi. Webster pretty savvy though, just brings it to the middle of the road. Oh, he's in deep. Misses the line a little bit. Should allow the guys behind him a little bit of a run.
Got to be impressed with what Sean Webster's doing in this hard motorsports BMW. And Ryan, Adam Harding with you down in pit lane. He's got to be pleased, although he's under attack right now.
Yeah, that's true, so we'll see. Sean's out there with a lot of pressure on him at the moment, but what a great start, what a great drive from him so far.
Yes, this is his first professional debut, and I think he's doing very well. This is his home track, so he's had a couple laps here, but I think he's doing a great job and making the right moves.
What was he doing to prepare for his debut in the championship?
We did a little bit of testing up in Portland. He's been running NASA. He ran NASA, I believe, a couple weeks ago here, and he daily drives an M2, so he's a little familiar with the car. So I think he's doing a great job.
What is the future of this program?
We are aiming to do all the West Coast races. We'll be in Portland, and we're going to do the season closer in Vegas.
Lastly, you think he's going to be able to keep the tires under him and hold off this group?
Absolutely.
All right, a lot of confidence from Adam Harding.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, he's doing a great job, but Grahovic has also, I think, snuck through on Capizzi, and it was right where we were speculating a little bit. He was close enough, and when Capizzi swung over, but we didn't see if there was a little aji-baji.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And then suddenly, I think it was Evans all over the back of Capizzi as well.
Yeah. There's Grahovic now behind Harding, and there's that margin that we were just talking about.
Yeah, it's really given Webster a little bit of breathing room, and certainly Harding was very upbeat about the potential of Webster hanging on to this podium run. Be a great debut for him.
Yeah, it would just light the fire for them to be in it here. And Capizzi, he isn't giving up. He's coming right back on Toby a little bit here. And behind them now is Evans, just coming into view, and then the last car in this queue would be Nimkoff. There's Capizzi. Looks like there's, maybe not. I don't see a mark on it.
No.
So maybe he may have just opened the wheel up when he saw Toby coming, and that's and allowed Evans to get close on him. Whoa!
That was a big moment. Just in that transition, started to lose the tail up through one, as we said. For the last couple of laps, we just suddenly seen for the first time signs of tire degradation. Car's starting to loosen up a little bit. Just got through there, and that little polar action, polar motion at the back of the car. Good save.
Yeah, it was a great save. And then Evans right behind him. Interesting story for Evans, of course. He's the son of Steve Evans, who we know well from broadcasting days, and he long involved with Redline, and that's in this area is where Redline's based. He said, I've been around here for a long time, lots of friends and everything here. He said, but this is the first place he ever drove a race car in the Bondurant School in 1988, won a Rotex karting championship here. And he said, I've got a bazillion laps around this place between the Russell School and club racing and the like. And he said, this place is tough, and when you're doing all right here, it's special. But then he wanted me to point out, he said that they had got Chandler Hull. They've arranged his B permit, so he'll be doing a RCN support race at the Nürburgring 24, and then they're going to do a race together in the VLN series in August at the Nürburgring. So that's pretty exciting stuff for this team and for young Chandler Hull as well.
Yeah, and I saw James Clay at the restaurant last night, and they got a lot of stuff going on. They're preparing for a Pikes Peak entry, so a big monster machine they're taking up the hill. Pretty cool.
That's quite an event.
Yes. It's on everyone's bucket list. Drivers and fans.
Yeah. Oh, problem for Brummond. That's unfortunate. He really, nice to have him back, as we said, and you hate to have it end with something like this.
Is that down towards 7? Where is that? Is that where the little jog is?
Yeah, it looks down, that's drag strip area, isn't it? Yeah, there it is.
Yep.
It's pulled off.
It's a pretty safe spot.
Yeah, it is. I don't think there'd be an issue with this much time.
They're hoping that's the case if they've got about 8 seconds on the rest of the field.
That's unfortunate. Tech Sport Nissan. As we're closing in on the final 10 minutes of this one. There's Johan. He's got that margin back up to 1.8, so it's interesting how that's been fluctuating, isn't it? It gets down to 1, 1.2, then right back up again.
Yeah, I think Johan's got it all under control. You can just see from the language of the car.
Yep.
I mean, typically he's got a little drift going, and he's just really disciplined himself to not push these tires, make sure he's got something to respond to, because if we had gone yellow there, if Brumman's car had come to halt in a different spot of the racetrack, suddenly you'd have a reset and you'd want Schwartz to have some tires underneath him. So I think he's been very conscious of that all day long. I think he could have possibly stretched this lead up front a little bit further, but meanwhile Grahovic starting to put the pressure on Webster for that podium spot.
Absolutely. Webster protecting beautifully, forcing Toby to go the long way around, getting a report that the problem, suspected problem for the Brumman car is fuel pressure, possible fuel pump problem. That's a shame. I think it's going to be interesting to see. We've talked about the experience of Toby, a former champion in this category. In many ways, the guy responsible for creating this BMW wave in this championship with that classic BMW team. And see if Sean Webster can live up to Adam Harding's optimistic, oh yeah, he can handle this.
Grahovic, big run there up and over 3. Quite a weekend, multi-car operation with Classic, and a lot of their customers are running in the Sprint X East form of competition, which are not competing here this afternoon and weekend. So A little bit easier slate for Toby to deal with, and probably allows him to focus on his driving a little bit more as well. It's got to be hard to juggle that management set.
That's true. When classic BMW shows up at a race with anything less than 5 cars, they're sloughing. I mean, they just, there are times they've got 7, 8 cars under those two awnings. 8 minutes to go. Boy, you look at this from the driver's perspective, and got that guy right behind you. You know he's quick, experienced. This could be a long 8 minutes, can't it?
It certainly can, but he's done a great job so far.
Yes, he has.
Just really savvy. I mean, as we said, he knows the racetrack well, so that's why he's delivering the performance in terms of the lap time. But nonetheless, I think the move that he made to escape getting assaulted in the chicane, but now he's got big pressure from Grahovic. I think Grahovic's going to force the issue here. Oh, that was tight. Really tight. Grahovic just asked too much of the front tire, slides wide. Another example of Webster's up to the challenge.
Yeah. Yeah, he has been impressive. And, you know, the one thing that I don't see him doing at all, which, you know, a lot of times you see a lesser experienced driver when they're under pressure, they start overdriving, you know, hustling the car too deep into the corner, this, that, and the other thing. He just is hitting his marks. I mean, he's really showing something here. And obviously, Hard Motorsports and Adam Harding have given him a really good car, too.
They have, but these two battling, Grahovic and Webster, has allowed Capizzi to close back up again.
Capizzi home improvement. Technic machine. Having a good run down through this long carousel, falling down the hill. Be interesting to see this time, because it really looks like the one spot where Toby makes stuff up is into that chicane. He really closes it up there.
Yeah, that run through the S's.
Yeah. Evans is tailed off again. It just looks like maybe these three, Webster, Grahovic, and Capizzi, just have a little bit more speed when they start battling each other and slowing each other up. Evans is able to come in on him.
Grahovic's car looks really good through the chicane.
Boy, doesn't it? Wait, Nimkoff now in 7th is attacking on Evans again. Those two have been going back and forth. That gray, white, green-hued machine.
Grahovic still probing, looking for a way. He's a lot later to the game this time, but still thought there was an opportunity. Fortunately for Webster, he's got one of the cleanest drivers behind him in Toby Grahovic,
yes,
so he's going to push hard for that position. I mean, it's a big difference in terms of how sweet dinner tastes tonight between 3rd and 4th, so he's going to want to be on the podium.
Ooh, Evans running way wide.
Beautiful job there by Nimkoff. I mean, when you float the speed through one like that, you see the hands working, the car's just sliding across the racetrack. Fun corner. Then the big elevation change. You just fall off a cliff on the other side here.
Nimkoff is right back on it here. A little wide there by Evans. He's feeling the pressure, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, Nimkoff looks quicker. Yeah, he's through.
Now he is.
It's a good little battle.
Yes, it is.
I thought he had it, and then Evans just took it in so deep. But couldn't hold it.
Now Evans gets a run, looks to the inside. Nimkoff covers, so Evans going to carry a little bigger radius here.
On the edge there, so a little bit of, I think it was right rear lock up there on the turning point. This is where Grahovic needs to focus, because he's really good through here. He really cuts over those curbs really well and gets on the power early right there. Almost too close. It's almost like he needs to time it by a couple of feet further back to get a better run.
It looks like Webster shallows the entry into the chicane a little bit, but look at this. Grahovic, he's cleared him as he gets into the brake zone.
Can't get it turned though.
Can't turn it.
Get that grip on that curb, it seems like.
Wow.
Webster's up to the challenge. He's just managing this. Just letting Toby go where it's not the ideal part of the racetrack. He just deals with it. Great poise.
Yeah, very much so.
Concertina with the gap up front once again. It's now down to 1.4 seconds between Schwartz and Strymer.
It's really fascinating.
Great drive by Steve Strymer. I mean,
yeah.
You know, Johann Schwartz, I feel, is really the benchmark in this class at the moment. For Steve to hang on to him so closely.
Johann just so consistent, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's found the sweet spot. The team is operating very well. They understand this race car.
Ooh, look at this.
Rovic.
Not quite there.
Oh, you could see what, I mean, he just got really great feel. You could feel him just release the brake pressure a little bit and carry that speed in so he didn't overslow and give Toby the opportunity to get down to the inside. No, he wasn't going to hit the apex in the first part of 7, but he still maintained the position. Really, really impressive.
See, yeah, right there you see Sean, just he's a little shallow into that chicane, but
this is a bit better. Yeah, this is a bit better for Rehovic. He's going to get a run here. It's going to be more awkward for Webster to place the car correctly.
Oh. Boy, Toby is doing everything he can think of here to try and figure a way through.
It's awfully close to touch.
Yes.
Not deliberate, but they're just in such close proximity now with should be final lap.
Looks like one lap to go. And you know what makes this all the more impressive, and I haven't mentioned this previously, but Sean here, his first experience driving anything was in 2013 in a high-performance driving experience event in 2013, and he's developed thus far this level of racecraft now.
Yeah, really cool.
It's sharp.
Toby's pushing hard. Toby's trying to find every trick in the book here to make that move. He wants the podium. He wants to get the trophy today.
You bet. Well, can he hang on? Schwartz and Strymer.
Webster in there really deep. Rehovic's going to get a run.
He's wide. Yep.
He really needed to be able to open his hands there. I think he had enough room to do it, but he's worried about getting into the side of Webster and trying to pinch it a little bit. Deep on the brakes, takes it in deep.
Touch. Touch. Oh boy, Capizzi caught up. There goes Nimkov. Ah.
That was unfortunate.
It was.
Thought he's going to save it for a moment. Toby just up and over the curb there and just got into him.
Yep. So Johann rolls through turn 10 for the final time. Coming up on his 4th win of the season from his 2nd pole. What a story he has put on here. What a show he has had all season long. But man, this one is impressive. Here he comes, BMW Rooster Hall. Wins it with Strymer, a 1-2 for Rooster Hall. Doesn't get a whole lot better than that, and here we go for that final podium spot. And Toby had to work hard for it, and in the end, he's going to get it. Capizzi will come through. Excuse me, Nimkov will come through in the 4th spot, and Capizzi will round out the top 5. But just a superb drive by Johann, and I know he'd want us to say on his behalf, big hi to his kids at home, JJ and Alden. Putting together a drive like that, that's special.
It was. Great day.
Yep.
Dominant performance in many ways, even though he just managed things accordingly with concerns about having something at the end in case there was a restart and a caution. And shame about this because Webster drove a brilliant race, just got tipped there at the end. Let's take another look at it. Grovic in there really deep. And you know, Webster just didn't give him the lane.
No.
I think if Webster had just opened up his hands a little bit, there was the possibility for them both to get through the corner together.
I think so. I think so. Yep. And yeah, and when Toby did have to tighten up, you know, that's when he caught that curb with that unloaded tire, and that's just going to bounce the car out.
It's the last lap. Not that that should really make a difference, but you expect someone to be going for it, and
Yes.
you just need to give each other a little bit of racing room. Otherwise, someone's going to get tipped around.
Look at that yellow Sabel glove. You know, he's big thing. That's a big supporter of that program, and Johan always gets that glove out the window to wave. But here's a result. A look at the provisional results, and I'll tell you, that battle for that final podium spot was just superb this entire race. And you know, with the number of car offs we've seen and everything, how about that drive by Zulman, bringing that car back up into the 8th spot, getting back into it again here. But just an entertaining race once again. Yeah, the two Rooster guys up front had things pretty much covered, but that battle for third was excellent.
It really was good stuff. And the tyres really hung on there, so hats off to Pirelli as well in the severe conditions here at Sonoma Raceway. Really gave all of the drivers in this field great grip throughout the 40-minute event.
And certainly for Hard Motorsports in Webster, even though I'm sure they'll be absolutely dejected to have ended up 7th after that great battle, I think they've certainly indicated that they belong and that they are going to be a factor here. And I hope they hold their heads very, very high, and it's going to be fun to watch what they can do tomorrow. He didn't get the best race lap thrown in there, Cal, so I mean, he's going to be probably 5th or 6th, somewhere in there. So
it should make it entertaining. He certainly had a good start today. So
exactly.
The C's part once again.
So you have it. Round 5 is in the books, of course. First of a doubleheader for the weekend for the TC America Touring Car class. And once again, the Rooster Hall team, from the sweep of the front row to the sweep of the top 2 spots in the event. Unfortunate for Mark Drummond and the 32 Tech Sport Nissan having a little bit of an issue, but let's take a look at some of the key moments that unfolded as this race did. Of course, at the start, Johan Strimer up along the outside, but Johan able to get through. But it was that Hard Motorsports BMW, the gray machine. What an opening couple of corners.
Yeah, it really was. He just stuffs it down the inside and makes that move stick, and then was hanging on to that podium position right till the last lap.
There's lots of drama unfolding behind, certainly. A little bit of a moment there, but Grahovic, Capizzi having a little bit of door-to-door. There's Brumman trying to get up to the inside of the 94 of Chandler. Then this moment by Capizzi, great run, and just missed that breaking point.
Yeah, and Webster there just saw him out of the corner of his eye, just opened up his hands to allow him to take to the grass and avoid contact.
And then this right on the last lap, heading into turn 7. Like you said, it almost looked like he could save it. It just finally went around, and he was able to gather it up, but he ends up in the 7th spot. Grahovic on the podium, but the Rooster Hall duo of Schwartz and Strimer coming home 1-2.